If we give our team members and leaders the jersey of conservative, and they are going to lead and govern under the banner of conservative, then they need to go to Washington, D.C. and walk the walk. They need to walk the walk. So if we're given that chance, let's remember where it starts. We have a PAC. I've got a PAC. It's called the Freedom First PAC. Now, we chose that name intentionally. We didn't call it the Freedom Last PAC. We didn't call it the Freedom in the Middle PAC. We didn't call it the Freedom maybe later on or down the road PAC. We called it the Freedom First PAC, intentionally and purposely, because this nation, its genius, its spirit, its soul, its success is based upon the foundation of freedom. And that's where it starts. I was so pleased the other day to see that the Mount Vernon statement, the group that came together at Mount Vernon, the leaders of various conservative groups in this country signed a statement recommitting themselves and their organizations to the constitutional framework, the constitutional principles, and the constitutional values that made this nation great. They are the values of limited government. They are the values of the rule of law. They are the values of individual responsibility. They are the values of free markets. They are the values of respect for the sanctity of life. They are the values of respecting traditional marriages and families, and down the list. Those are the kinds of principles that this nation was founded on. Those are the principles that made this nation great. Those are the principles that will lead us forward as a conservative movement. Now, for me, this is highlighted in the time and place where I grew up. For many of you, I'm sure it's the same. We are defined in part by where we come from. I grew up in a meatpacking town. It's the kind of the bluest of blue-collar towns you could imagine. It was the home of the world's largest stockyards, the world's largest meatpacking plants. My dad, for much of his life, was a truck driver. My mom was a homemaker. My brothers and sisters did things like work in oil refineries and work in grocery stores for their whole life and be on one-on-one special ed aides in school districts and down the list. So in my family, we learned some things that I think reflect those values and principles as they get played out on Main Street and neighborhoods all across this country. And I want to share with you 4 ideas that I think should carry us forward. These are examples, but they're primary. They are foundational as we move forward. And these aren't hard. And this is not some sort of obscure undertaking by professors. This is basic constitutional principle and basic common sense. The first one is this: God's in charge. God is in charge. There are some people who say, Pawlenty, don't bring that up. It's politically incorrect. Hogwash. These are... These are enshrined in the founding documents and perspective of our country, in the Declaration of Independence. It says we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. It doesn't say we're endowed by Washington, D.C., or endowed by the bureaucrats, or endowed by state government. It's by our Creator that we are given these rights. And there are many, many examples of this. I'm proud that in my state, in the very first sentence, in the very first paragraph of our Minnesota Constitution, it says this: "We, the people of Minnesota, grateful to God for our civil and religious liberties." And then it goes on from there to talk about the importance of all of us extending those privileges and benefits to others for their posterity and for their benefit down the road for future generations. So as we look forward, I say to those naysayers who try to crowd out God from the discussion, if it's good enough for the Founding Fathers, it should be good enough for each and every one of us. There's another principle. We can't spend more than we have. We can't spend more than we have. So I remember my mom. She died, by the way, when I was 16 years old. She was 50 years old. She died of cancer. When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. But I remember very vividly my mom sitting at the kitchen table, fretting over how that checkbook was going to balance, literally, on the brink of tears, trying to figure out how we're going to get the bills paid, but always saying, you know, we've got to live with what we have. We're going to live within our means. It was hard, and it was challenging. That perspective has been lost on too many of our federal officials. That perspective is not reflected in the current administration. Barack Obama, President Obama, does not share that commitment. If government spending were an Olympic sport, he would be a repeat gold medalist. I want to share with you, this is no longer a matter of right versus left, liberal versus conservative. We can prove our conclusion on this by basic mathematics. The United States federal government, from all sources for all purpose, takes in $2.2 trillion a year. Keep that number in mind, $2.2 trillion a year. We have total unfunded liabilities of $65 trillion. 2.2 trillion in revenue, 65 trillion in total unfunded liabilities. That is more than 30-to-1 leverage. If the United States federal government were a bank regulated by itself, they would shut themselves down. We live in a nation where not long ago our United States Secretary of State was on rhetorical bended knee in communist China, pleading with the Chinese to continue to buy our debt, because if they don't buy our debt and other foreign sovereign wealth funds don't buy our debt, our beloved United States of America can't pay its bills. The United States of America, my friends, is not a beggar nation. The United States of America is not a beggar nation. This will not be easy, but it can be done. In Minnesota, this is the land, by the way, of Eugene McCarthy. This is the land of Hubert Humphrey. This is the land of Paul Wellstone. It is the land of Walter Mondale. It is the land of United States Senator Al Franken. Minnesota, now let me put it this way, 49 out of 50 states voted for Ronald Reagan, including Massachusetts. Guess which one didn't? Minnesota. In Minnesota, we have taken the spending curve down to about zero. For the first time in a 150-year history of my state, we cut spending in real terms. And I just want to share with you, if we can do it in Minnesota, I would suggest to you probably the most liberal state or one of the most liberal states in the country. It can be done anywhere. So I know there's challenges in New England and other places, but believe me, if you can do it in my state, you can do it anywhere. The next thing I want to share with you as a third of four principles is this. People spend their money differently when it's their money. So this plays itself out on lots of different issues, but let me give you an example in one that's timely right before us right now, and that's health care. If I said to you today, on your way home from Cpac, swing by a great Minnesota company. Go to Best Buy, go to Target, you buy any television set that you would like. Pick any size you'd like, any characteristics, qualities that you like. Don't even look at the price. Don't worry about it. Just send the bill to Mary and me at the governor's residence at 1006 Summit Avenue in St. Paul. How many of you'd show up back at your hotel room tonight with a 12-inch black and white? None of you would, of course. And so if we're going to reform systems, the direction isn't to turn them into government-run monopolies where the other side can declare that they're giving away quote-unquote free stuff. The direction we need to head is to put consumers in charge in a marketplace in conjunction with their doctors, giving them good information about what stuff costs, what the quality measurements are, and let them decide what's right for them and their families, not the federal government.